Recorded.
All right, welcome to the call. We're not making popcorn, but Natasha's definitely joined us in the middle of a thunderstorm. So welcome to the call, Natasha. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
You're here.
Thank you. Yes. So how are you, Biz?
I am just, you know what? I got to tell you, this stuff going on with Houston County has been, it's draining, to say the least. I filed a federal writ of habeas corpus. Here's one thing I learned, everybody. If you ever file a petition for mandamus in a lower court and they trick you into coming into court, you must object. Because if you don't object now, and what I mean is that you don't object to the person that calls you on the phone and says, how come you're not in court right now? No, don't object to them. I learned something. You object to the court and you say, no, you can't do that. Because then what they do is they say, oh, Tim Damron showed up to court. You know what? Everything's cool. And then they dismiss your mandamus in the Texas Supreme Court. You got to be really careful. These guys are real slick. Slickety slick. And I knew something wasn't right when they brought me into court and nobody brought me under oath. The reason they did that is so they don't have to listen to me. See, if you're not under oath, they don't have to listen to you. So there we go. Now we learned something, everybody. I learned something. And it's okay because I filed an emergency writ of habeas corpus and filed it in the federal courts. And we're still going to have a stay on everything. So have a good day. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. But yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive and it wears you out. It is incredibly stressful, incredibly everything. But you know what? Yahweh is faithful. I read Psalms 91, and Psalms 91 makes every guarantee that I need to hear. And this is what gets me up and keeps me going every single day. And this is why I hope you guys are watching. I'll never stop. It'll never stop. You're going to have to kill me in the streets. That's just what's going to happen. And you're going to have to make sure everybody's watching too, because nobody's going to do it quietly. And that's just how it's going to go. Right, Natasha?
Absolutely. But before we go any further, I'd like to welcome everybody to the call. Today is Monday the 11th. We are here for entertainment purposes only. We're not lawyers. We don't give legal advice. We're not here to hurt anybody's feelings. But what we do is we shed light on this freedom movement, and more so, we try to do it. We show you with truth and honor. And we'd like to hear if you have anything or heard anything that you'd like to drop your comments. If you'd like, you can also call in too at 888-570-7220.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not it, man.
Yeah. I'd just like to welcome everybody, and I hope that you enjoy the call.
Well, I'm excited, Natasha. Natasha, tonight I'm going to go through the class schedule. I was going through it a little bit with everybody before we got started. But hey, welcome to the call, everybody. Troy, welcome to the call. Rudy, welcome to the call. Glad you're here. Daniel, welcome to the call. Everybody else that's here, welcome to the call too. Please like and share. Okay. I got to tell you, we were talking a little bit about Houston County. These guys, I thought it was other people that were going and sabotaging my TikTok page. It's actually them. I have a private investigator that's actually going in and looking at all of my traffic, and all of the people that have decided to put little silly, and they're very hurtful, that's investigating, and they're looking at. I'm really looking forward to 99 those charges. That's a good one, Troy. No, not exactly. But you know what? Here's what we are going to do is that we're going to go forward. We're going to make the right presentments, and we're going to clear up things. And exactly what Natasha said, we're going to stand in truth. And truth will always, always, always stand, no matter what happens. I don't care what storm is blowing through, what flood is coming through, whether it be a physical flood, whether it be a metaphoric flood. Truth will always stand. I don't care what the devil says. And is the devil in charge right now? Absolutely. And this is why we have a lot of evil running the place. But tonight we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more important than that. Well, not more important than that, but I mean, something that's relative to that, to him running this place. And what he did was he set up a situation that most people don't understand. And this is because we operate in equity. Earlier before we started the call, I opened this up and I said, what is cash? One of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is, do we really have any money? I mean, is this money? Looks like money. Well, wait a minute. These look like money too. So is this money? Or is this money? And if this is money, how come it's got numbers on it? What's that for? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in tonight's class. And let me just say this. A lot of people in the sovereign community are very confused. And here's what happens. What you see a lot of times, and I see a lot of times, is that they kind of speak out of both sides of their mouths. Excuse me. Wow. Stuff flying around today. Anyway, they kind of speak out of both sides of their mouths. And the problem is that truth is truth, no matter what. Okay. And we need to understand that. People really don't understand this debt, equity, and discharge thing. And it's because they think that we have money. And we don't. Natasha, we have no money. We've been in bankruptcy for forever. And then we keep going into bankruptcy. We will have a civil war, and then they do a reset. Then we go through 1999 into 2000, and then we do another reset. And they just keep resetting the debt. And most people don't understand that. And the reason why they don't understand that is because they don't understand equity and performance. Our economy, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you're in the republic, whether you're in the democracy, whether you're out to lunch, it doesn't matter where you are. At the end of the day, everything in our economy is based on presentment, acceptance, and performance. Everything. Excuse me. When you look up, we're going to talk in my class about the TT&L window. Okay. And this is some people, some of these teachers call it the discount window. Shut up. It's not a discount window, man. It stands for tax, treasury, and lien. And we create money by performance, by lien, tax, and treasury. That means we lien the situation first, then it goes to the treasury, it gets discharged. This is the final loop. And why is this system so popular? Because you can't run out of money. Now, how did this system start? Well, the system started long time ago. And the Federal Reserve came into the United States like an invader. They did. And they started freaking people out. They started doing a lot of psychological warfare on the public. And they started scaring them. And they started saying, your bank's going to run out of money. And one day you're going to show up and there'll be no money. Now, if you take what is real and throw that over your shoulder and come on over here and get this fake stuff over here, we're going to give you some credit. And they accept credit everywhere. So, you know what, man? Don't even worry about that old real money stuff. Forget that stuff, man. We're going to go over here. We're going to do this credit thing. And it's all based on contracts and performance. What? How is it based on contracts and performance? How does that make sense? Well, I'm going to tell you how it makes sense. This is something you're going to learn in my class. Here's how it works. They make a presentment. Let's say your landlord. You go to your landlord and he says, hey, you want to rent this place? It's going to cost you X, Y, and Z. It's going to cost you $2,000 a month. Okay. You're going to live in this place for $2,000 a month and you're going to stay here for a year. And you say, okay. So he says, great. I'm going to draw up a lease agreement. Now we have a creditor-debtor relationship or leasee-lessor relationship. Okay. And at that point, you're doing commerce. No matter what the market rate is on your apartment while you're in that lease, because you're in that lease. That's why it doesn't matter how much your car is worth. Huh? Have you ever noticed that? You've seen how, I mean, I spent 23 years in the car business. I saw so many people, Natasha, that were upside down in their cars, like all the time. And people understood that. And why? Because they went out and got a loan on a depreciating asset. And it loses money every single month. Why would somebody loan you money for that? Because they want your performance. It's a depreciating asset. In 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 1 year, you're upside down. You owe more on the car than what the market will pay for it. So why would it make sense for them to do these loans for these cars? And then what? They're going to take the car and take the loss? If you thought that's how it works, you have a lot to learn. And many of us were told this is how it works. But I'm here to tell you, it's about the contracts, guys. It's about the contracts. And if you can capture the labor on your contracts, if you can capture the performance on your contracts, then those streets are wide open, just like your bank. The bank's running up and down those streets. Brother, they're streaking up and down those streets. Really, with your name. Hey, look, Tim Damron, we got his stuff. And they're happy because they got a contract. Think about those. If anybody ever bought anything from Rent-A-Center, huh? Have you ever noticed? Let me tell you kind of what their model is. So their model is they go in and they buy furniture, and they bid and buy on large groups of furniture and discontinued appliances and things like that are new, that don't get sold. And then what they do is they take those appliances and they take them to the Rent-A-Center store, and then every person that comes in there, they line them in with a security agreement. Why? Because they're going to make you pay way too much for this stuff anyway. So the whole point is not for you to be happy and get a good deal and go get the washer and dryer of your dreams. That's not the point. The point is to get you in there, get you under contract, get you to perform. Now that contract's worth some money. See? Created it out of not thin air, out of your performance. Now, in this debt equity and foreclosure class, I'm actually going to teach you exactly how to capture that performance, how to capture that performance within your trust and do things most people can't do. One of my students, Sean Gray, he's been on the call before. He had a $147,000 tax return this year. And he did it because he paid off his house and he got his note and he monetized it. Simple as that. So you remember what I said about the TT&L window? What's the last step? What's the last step? No, when you read it backwards. Tax, treasury, lien. Okay. Tax. That's the last step. So what does HGR 192-1933 really mean? What it really means is simply this. The government's job is to discharge your debt, but they can't discharge it if you don't do it. And if you don't have the right vehicle to get your stuff there, they can't discharge it. Did you know the IRS, Natasha, used to get chickens? They used to take chickens and farm and cows and all kinds of stuff. Did you know that?
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the cowboy and Indian days, they would come up, take an Indian. I don't know what they did, but they did. That's what they did. And they had animals and silly stuff. I bet it got really silly around, when the salmon would come in, because like they would have to have a place to put it, and it could be smelly. Anyway, so it just shows you that they're just counting things. Really, at the end of the day, they weren't keeping these goats. I mean, I don't know if they were keeping the goats. Who knows what they were doing with them? But at the end of the day, they were supposed to be surrendered for the purpose of performance. Even back then. This is what people aren't understanding in this walk. This is why people aren't understanding how this 1099 stuff works. Okay. Natasha, I think it's funny, when people remember those people a few years ago, the what was it? The real estate group people in New Braunfels, Texas. And they were telling everybody they could go get free houses with 1099s. You remember that? What was the deal? What were they? Do you remember what the program was on that? What they were saying they were doing?
No, that was a little bit before I got into it, a lot. But I
Okay.
remember you speaking about it, but more or less it was you go get a 1099 off the IRS and you fill it out and you send it in, and that was your prepayment, and they were supposed to deposit that money for your house. But you was all supposed to get everything in the house, from the furniture to the appliances and everything else.
Yeah, it was like a Bob Barker thing. And the price is right. There you go. You know what I mean? It was like and a lot of people stood in line for that. I think there's still people standing in line for that. I hope they're not. But anyway, I think there's still some people standing in line. And I really thought about, because, New Braunfels isn't far from me. I thought about going up there and, having a little chit chat with those guys and telling them, but it's really funny how their program started to evolve, because they came out about 4 years ago. About the time I started coming, I started being public about 4 years ago. Prior to this, I taught privately. My classes were private. These Monday night calls they're still pretty private, and I like them that way. But they were very small, and we kept things very small, and I still like it small that way. It just makes things easier. But what we've been able to do is that we've been able to actually go down these rabbit holes and really look at all these processes. And what I see, Natasha, more often than not, is people will understand the process, but they negate the performance. Winston Shroud and his daughter were doing that. They were securitizing promissory notes and things like that, and they were sending them into the IRS for funding. But the problem was that nobody actually performed. Oops. So we just made it up. And I remember early in the movement, there were people talking about that too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it was like they were from, with the nationals and stuff like that, and trying to get in your system EQ account and all. And I think what they were doing was just trying to take a shortcut, instead of doing the whole complete. Yeah, just doing the whole complete. They just want to say, hey, I have this account over here. You need to give me money out of it, and here's a 1099 or a 1099, whatever they want it to do. And then give me money to buy my house and my cars. But they didn't understand that's not how it works, So.
Yeah, it's based on performance. And
Exactly.
I guess, sorry, I'm falling all over my words here, but do people understand why performance is so key? I mean, do you really think people get that? Do you think that's something we should talk about tonight? What do you guys think?
Actually, I was going to yeah, I was going to go into, if you could go in a little bit more in depth of performance. So whenever you say that, is it, you have to go in, fill out that credit application, make your monthly payments and stuff like, and make your monthly payments. And also with discharge too. When you speak of that, the first time I ever heard it, I kind of went to like writing stuff off, like mileage on your vehicle and stuff like that. But that's not in the same kind of category. Or
no, it's a little different. Well, and you know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. If you're still operating with a Social Security card or Social Security number only, you're still in your infancy. So just imagine you're what age do they get out of diapers now? What is it, 4? Maybe 4, right? So let's just say, imagine your 4-year-old walking around with your car keys, and he's about to head out to your car with a saggy diaper, and he's about to drive. I'm going to tell you, this is exactly the horror story that I see when I see people doing stuff and they don't have the right vehicle. Earlier, we spoke about that. I talked to you, I said that we're going to talk about vehicles. And if you have the right vehicle, you can go anywhere. I mean, we got ATVs that go up, down, sideways, up the hill, down the hill. They go anywhere, right, Natasha? Absolutely. And they do it fast too. Fun, So and then they'll fit any flavor you want. So the problem that we have in this market is that some people are waking up to the process, but they're still in their infancy. Okay. Baseball players, football players, these guys all have to work their way up the ladder. This is how I figured this stuff out. See, this is the whole point of having baseball cards and sports cards, because what do they do, Natasha? They give information, public stats. They make public notice of performance. How many baskets did Michael Jordan sink this year? And then last year he's going to sink more, or whatever he's done, or whoever's hot tonight. You know, it doesn't matter, okay? I'm old, so I don't watch sports anymore just because it's just nonsense. But I don't watch it anymore because of that. So what happens is that so when they have contracts, okay? And these contracts, they have to perform in those contracts. Musicians have the same thing. All right, we're going to sign a 4-record deal. You guys got to do 4 records in the next 3 years, and this is what you get. Well, the contract says this, and it requires the parties to act as if there is something going on. Huh? This is why we wear wedding bands. Why do we wear wedding bands? So we can make presentment, so people know. Okay? They don't have to ask. What are you doing tonight? Oh, man, get out of here. You know, they don't have to ask. They know. They can look. And if they don't know, then there's other ways of explaining those things, I'm told. Anyway, so what I'm saying is it's performance. And this is what our system is based on. How do you get the money? Performance. Who gives you the coupons? They do. The thing is that we have to work really hard to get those things. And then what you'll notice is your employers, these businesses that exist on paper, they don't have to do anything. They just like do stuff and money goes, and it goes right back in. Next thing you know, they send you a 1099 for something. Well, what is a 1099? You know what? Let's talk about it. What is a 1099, Natasha? It's a Class 5 gift form.
Yeah.
And what is it doing? What's the point of it? To gift it back. And when you're operating on just your social, you're the guy picking the strawberries. When you stack something on top of it, like a trust, a trust EIN, a business EIN of any kind, and it's actually performing and doing something, you can capture that performance. Businesses, this class is going to be fantastic. You guys that are paying rent, I'm going to show you how to monetize your leases. Those of you guys that are operating out of trust, you have a lease on the place that your trust is operating from. I'm going to show you how to monetize your lease, because that's how we refill the tank. What they haven't taught us how to do was how to refill our own tank. We've been refilling everybody's tanks, right? Doesn't it feel like that, Natasha? Like we've been just running around our whole lives, you know, go get chasing some grandfather clock or some pocket watch or a Rolex for your business or whatever. I mean, it seems like that's what we're doing these days, you know?
Absolutely.
I feel like it is. I'm tired. You know, and those of you guys that are waking up to this and you're realizing this is what you're doing, stop listening to these guys complain. Stop it. Okay? Because complaining never got anything done. It never got a single thing accomplished. Not one person ever invented a car while they were complaining. Not one person ever invented Tupperware while they were complaining. It just never happened. And it's not going to happen. So just don't complain and stay away from the people that do. Those people are low vibrational people. And they see that you guys are waking up. They see that your eyes are opening. They see that this one is opening and you're changing. And I'm telling you this, run to your Heavenly Father, run towards, because that's where it came from. That's who's waking you up. You don't have to be religious to do this either, man. I'm telling you, you don't, because Yahweh's not religious at all. He's cool, man. He's great. And at the end of the day, all this stuff belongs to him anyway. So if you learn how to manage it and you manage it properly and you do it honestly, you got a shot. You got a shot. You know, Solomon was one of those guys that knew how to do it. He did. Matter of fact, he was so with it, he actually had demons working for him. Imagine that. The bankers working for you. Imagine the judges working for you. Imagine the public working for you. We're going to talk about how that works. And I'm going to show you that it can work. And it does work. It absolutely does work. Now, what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of folks talking about 1099 processes and sending 1099s to places and things like that. I'm going to go through very specifically in this class what each one of these class 5 or these popular class 5 gift forms demonstrate and what they actually do. For example, the 1099 OID. Everybody talks about this form, right? Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I've already heard it all. So just hold your comments down there at the bottom. I've already heard it all from here and back. Is the rain stopped over there yet?
Yep, my truck was telling me it's going to cut off.
Oh, man. Okay, all right, good. I was making sure that didn't have anybody on the way. Uh-oh, that looks like I lost her. Anyway, she'll be back. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about in this class is that what these forms actually do. And one of the ones I'm going to talk about tonight is the 1099 OID. This is a very popular form, and it's original discount coupon form. That's what it is. And a lot of people would like to say that there she is. She's back. Awesome. A lot of people believe that this form can actually put money back into your pocket. And this is one of the forms that I talk about in the class. Number one, this is a commercial form. Okay. And a 1099 OID is for somebody that builds something, that builds things. Okay. So let's just say that, and this is what I like to use in my class. You know, the right Twix, left Twix commercial. You guys seen that, right? You have the right Twix commercial over here, and then you got the left Twix building over here, and you have two separate companies, and one builds the right side and one builds the left one. Okay, fine. So if one builds the right one and the other one builds the left one, somebody's got to put those two together. So let's just say the right side Twix, that's their job, and they put the two together. So what they do is they buy the left side Twix from the left side Twix company next door at a discounted rate, of course, because they're buying it wholesale, just like car dealerships, just like everybody else. They buy it wholesale and then retail it, and then you get two Twix. So if you think about that mode of traffic, that's where a 1099 OID will properly function. Okay. This is where it's going to function. It's for people that buy things at wholesale and sell them at retail. And what happens is there's an original discount. Okay. And sometimes you can buy stuff cheaper in some places than you can in other places. It just depends on where you are. So for example, when I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico versus living here in Texas, if you want to order parts on a car in Texas, everybody's got it. I don't care what it is. You can find it. It is somewhere. Napa, Vato Zone, whoever, man, they got it. They got your part, and it's here in Texas. I guarantee you. Somebody built it, did it, done it. Now, even for factory stuff, most of your dealerships here in Texas, they stock things really good because there's repetitive business. Lots of things happen, and maybe they're not afraid to take risks. I don't know. Whatever. So this happens. Now, when I moved to Albuquerque, that was a whole other story. I would roll it. I would call up a Hyundai dealership and try to get brake pads, something as common as brake pad. Oh, we'll have to order those. They'll take 15 days to get here. I'm like, my goodness, what are you talking about? Well, then in that particular case, they're going to have to buy it from somebody in Texas, let's just say, and then they're going to tack on their little 1, 2, 3, and then you get the price. The shop gets the price, and then the shop has to retail it. This is where the 1099 OID comes into place because the IRS knows how much everything costs. So being that the IRS knows how much everything costs, if you tell them that you bought all these Frisbees, let's just say, for 22 cents a piece, and they know that the retail value of those is $199 a piece, you might get an audit. So the OID is to assess and discharge that amount, the wholesale amount that was purchased, back to the original retailer where they bought it from, which in this case would be the Left Twix factory. Okay. So the 1099 OID would show a discharge amount for the amount of whatever they paid for the Left Twix to come over to the right Twix so they can have 2 Twixes, if you can have such a thing. That's kind of how the OID works. And I'm going to go through all the rest of the forms just like that. And I'm going to break them down for you. I'm going to show you where they fit. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about in this class, which I think you guys are really going to dig, is we're going to talk about how to set this thing up. No. A lot of you guys are already looking on the internet right now trying to, all right, we need to order some forms. No, we don't do any of that stuff. Stop. That's not this channel. That's somebody else's channel. That's Chris Hauser's channel. Tell Chris Hauser to go order all those 1099As and go fill them all out, send them everywhere. No, man. No. And how do we do this? How do we do this properly? We do this properly by knowing where these things go. At the end of this class, I'm going to be showing you guys how to set this thing up so you can present this to your CPA and say, this is what I did. Shut up and do my taxes nicely, of course. Hey, Stephen, welcome to the call. Glad you're here. Bob, welcome to the call too. So glad you're here. Christine, Troy, welcome to the call. And actually, Troy is on the call here too. So these are journals that we understand about. These are things we should have learned in high school, everybody. I mean, for crying out loud, man. With all the stupid things that we did in school. I mean, seriously. For all the silly classes. You know, think about this. For all the time that we learned algebra, which nobody uses it, we can learn how to use our brains by just understanding the tax code. They could have taught us the tax code and skipped algebra, and everybody would have known how to do a tax return by the time they got out, and then they could discharge all their debt. But then if that was to happen, you wouldn't have all these classes of people. We're going to talk about these classes of people. You know, these immigrants that the Biden administration let in the door, and some of them, maybe some of them are still working, I think. Do you know what their tax rate is? 33%. 1/3 of whatever they make goes to the government as a privilege for them to work here and to get a paycheck here and for immigrating here illegally. I don't get it. But anyway, that's what they're getting. But what happened, really? Let's step back from that. What really happened? What really happened is we created another class of people. Another level of people that don't know. They're just here. They're just trying to get it together. Quite honestly. And they know that. So how do we fix that? How do we change that? We learn. We learn the system. We learn how it operates. And more importantly, we operate just like they do. Because if you operate just like they do, what's the old thing we used to say when we were kids? Well, they're doing it. Well, they're doing it. Your employer's doing it. They're sending you 1099s and they're discharging their debt. They're discharging your raise. Those of you got, oh, I don't know if he's going to give me a raise or not. Why not? It wouldn't matter. He's still going to get it back anyway. What does that mean he's going to get it back? What it means is, let's just say your boss's taxable income for the year is $1 million. Nice big round number. $1 billion. Let's just say that's what it is, okay? Now, but he paid you $200,000 a year to drive the company Corvette. Wouldn't that be a cool job? Okay, you just drive the company Corvette, you get 200 grand a year. That's it. End of story. All right, fine. That's what you did. He wrote you a check, and every 2 weeks he wrote it down. And what did he do? He performed. Huh? He performed. And then at the end of the year, he sent you a W-2 that said, hey, I performed. And then what do? You take it to Walmart, to H&R Block, whoever, and you say, look, they performed. And then they give you like a couple of grand or $100 or something for showing up in a little tax return. They say, thank you for doing his taxes, but you just all went back to him. So if he made $1 million that year and his taxable income was $1 million, after he paid you the 200 grand, his taxable income, you ready? It's 800,000 now. That means he saved 200 grand because you. That's why it doesn't matter. We're all just pushing this stuff back and forth. I posted a video on Natasha. Do you remember that video about the Three Stooges?
No, I haven't watched that one. But
the money video I posted.
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
Well, so Mo is so you got the Three Stooges and they're standing. I love these guys, right? By the way, and this is a very quick lesson on how our money operates. It is very simple, and it'll make you feel stupid after I tell you all this. I'm telling you because I did. So it's for entertainment purposes only. Don't hate on Tim Damron when I tell you this. Okay, so Mo whips out a $10 bill and he goes, "Hey," and then Larry's like, "Hey, you owe me 20." He goes, "I owe you 20." I was like, "All right, here's 10, and I owe you 10." And then Curly says, "Hey, wait a minute, you owe me 20." You're right. You know what? Here's 10, and I owe you 10. And then Mo's like, "Oh, wait a minute, you owe me 10. Okay, I'll give you 10." So he gives him the 10. And then Larry's like, "Oh, well, since I got the 10 from him, I'm going to give it back to you for the 10 that I owe you." And he was like, "Oh, that's perfect." And then he hands it to the other guy and he hands it to him and it's 10. But it was just the same 10. It was the same 20 that kept running around between the three of them. How did that work like that? But that's how our system operates. Really. How did it work like that? Because it's about performance, man. It's not about the money. It's about performance. Because there is no money. That's fact. This is what we're missing. This is what we're not understanding. Here's the other part we're not understanding. We're not understanding how to capture our own equity. And then more importantly, where do you put it? Because here's what I know so far, Natasha. It disappears without a ledger, without a reason. And if you have kids or grandkids, it will evaporate. You will see metal coins and things that were once tangible evaporate and leave like Star Trek. They will leave your wallets. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Huh? And y'all know what I'm talking about. What happens around Christmas time? Everybody forgets how to count money. We just spent it because it's Christmas. Shame. Huh? It's true. It's true. So what does this really mean? We have a performance-built economy. And here's the thing. You can get on board with it. And you can learn how to do it. Or you can sit over there and you can guess. You do that. Or you could struggle. And I think the people that are guessing, they're struggling too, Natasha. I think they are. These are the things that these are your choices. I'm going to tell you, I was sitting literally in that driveway and looking at the two roads like this going, how am I going to figure this out? Is this discharging debt? Is it really real? You know, they talk about the coupons, Natasha, you know, and they're thinking those are checks, drafts. Have you heard about that? I'm sure you've heard about that. The guys that, you know, they make the little checks out of the presentments.
Yeah, whenever you get like your electric bill or, you know, any of that in the mail, how they turn it over and they put some kind of, I don't remember the code to it, and then they send it back and say, this is prepaid and, you know, this is my cash, more or less. I'm like, okay.
It's
That's
missing
weird.
one thing, though. What's it missing?
Performance.
And people acting as such. more importantly.
Yeah.
So you're not acting like you really did it. You're just saying, well, this stuff isn't real and I'm just going to, But it is real. It's real in the sense that it requires your performance. Okay. And if we understand that, you're going to understand other things. Now, there's a lot of people that just want to stop and fight. Well, that's just not fair and I don't want to do it. And I'm going to have a closed mind and I'm going to keep it this way. You know what I'm talking about, Natasha? Those people?
I do, and especially if it doesn't go their way, or whatever they think in their mind. Yeah, it's just instead of having it open.
But how do you manage people like that? I really, how do you manage? Because y'all don't want to hear how I do.
I just kind of pray for them and just leave them alone, because they'll learn eventually.
That's it. You don't hang up on them or anything. I know I do. I'm at, and I just hang up. I'm not gonna lie. I'll pray for you when I hang up on you. If I hang up, you know that Natasha is praying for you.
There you go.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I didn't hang up on you. I wouldn't do that to you guys. But no, but seriously, this 1099 stuff is out of control. And it's out of control because people don't understand it. I talked to a lady, I don't know, a week or two ago, and she said that she said that she said
I didn't catch it.
She filled out this cancellation of debt, but she filed it. Okay, so she filed a cancellation of debt, a 1099-C, but she did it on behalf of the employer or the creditor. So say it's MasterCard. I don't know. I'm not going to say who it was because let's just say it's MasterCard, okay? So the taxpayer and process it. We can do this better. I'm serious. Like you guys, you can't cancel the debt for the employer. You can only cancel debts if you're a creditor. The creditor is the only one that can cancel debts, not the debtor. Yeah. I wish we could, though. That'd be really cool, though, right? Oh, you know what? Never mind. We'll just send you a 1099-C and cancel that debt. Thank you for the truck. Appreciate it. You know what? I don't see that working. What do you think, Natasha?
I think they're going to come pick it up.
I think they might pick up the car and them, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that somebody, I will tell you, the person that told me that actually had a car and the bank was looking for it and they had a lien on it. And I told her, after you need to check your state laws, but in some states, not all states, but in some states, well, in the majority of the states, if you're in a car and it's over 2 years old and they still haven't repoed the car, they haven't gotten it back from you, they can actually report it stolen.
Oh.
The bank can report it stolen. So if they've told you to bring the car back, they've told you they're going to come and get it. They did all their presentments. Remember, I told you it's all based on presentment, acceptance, and performance. So if they told you, and you accepted, then you guys performed. Y'all had a meeting in the minds through the mailbox. And because all that happened, now they have the right to enforce that contract. Why? It's not fair, Tim. Well, it's because they know a contract and you don't. No. This is the problem that we're having. This is the problem that we're having in this market. And we're failing miserably. You know what happens when you file one of these frivolous things, a frivolous filing with the, oh, you know what? Hold on. Before I talk about that, Natasha, what do you think about people that say that, that filing taxes are voluntary? What do you think about that?
I think it's voluntary what you want to put in there, but they're not voluntary. I mean, for one, that's what you've been talking about is
No.
you got to do your taxes in order to discharge. So you have to pay something in order to do that?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And look at the sovereign movement, okay, in general, running around, and they're all quoting HGR 192, 1933, right? And they're saying, oh, we need to discharge the debt. Well, then pony up and discharge your debt, son, because that's what we're supposed to do. We can't. This is the problem that we have in this market is that we got people literally talking out of both sides of their mouths. Anyway, they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. They're saying on one hand, yes, we want to discharge the debt, but then on the other hand, they're saying, oh, we ain't filing no taxes. Well, how are you going to get it to the Treasury? You going to take it to the post office? Huh? Because they got a TT&L window there. Did y'all know that? No. Because who's that TT&L window for, Natasha? The one at the post office.
I don't know.
You know? It's for the post office.
Oh. Post office has their TT&L window. Is that one
They
like...
do.
Is that one, so would that one be like different from the one that you see at the bank? Or it's
the same one. It's a little short window. You'll see it and nobody's there. It's the one that nobody's at. When you go into the post office, you're gonna see it's a little dip window right there. And those of you guys, I didn't go over this, but those of you guys that are looking for the TT&L window, it's at your bank, okay? But it looks like the handicap window, and they all got one. And that little dude has got a monitor computer thing that's completely different than the rest of them, okay? And it sits a little lower. It's good for us short people so we can see things. But that's their TT&L window. That's how they get to the Treasury. That's not how you get to the Treasury, Chris Hauser. Ugh. I saw some video thing popped up on him the other day talking to the Federal Reserve today. Oh, stop it. If you're talking to the Federal Reserve, Chris Hauser, you're listening to the press 1 if you're mad. Press 2 if you're really mad. He hates to stop it. Because if all those people down at the Treasury or the Federal Reserve that he's allegedly talking to actually knew how to rob the bank, don't you think they wouldn't be working there anymore? Just saying. That's what I feel like people are trying to do. I feel like people are trying to rob the bank. They're trying to go and take their QV trust and go rob the bank. And then they go on these shop trips, patients. Wow. Can I tell you, we can do this better, but it's understanding the process. It's understanding where you're at and knowing where you're starting. Here's the deal. If you have the right vehicle, and I'm going to keep saying this all night long till everybody gets this. If you have the right vehicle, you can go anywhere you want. You want to go to the discharge window, huh? You want to go there? You want to learn that place? You got to start somewhere. You just can't walk up to the door and say, I'm here for my QV trust. I'm going to pick it up today. No. If that was the case, show me who did it. Right, Natasha? Show us who did it.
I'd like to see.
I'm saying, I'll drive the car. You know what? I'll pay for the Uber. They have to tip them though, because I'm not tipping them. But I'll pay for the Uber. I'm down for that. What are we doing? What are we doing? I think we got a lot of people guessing. And here's the problem. If you file any of these silly returns, like the gal that I'm telling you, that I told you guys about that filed that 1099-C on behalf of, doesn't matter. When that happens, the IRS will assess that. And there's a penalty for filing stuff like that. And they'll send you a $5,000 frivolous filing charge. And if you don't pay it, they'll compound it with interest. And then if you don't pay that, bye. Bye. I'm being serious. The IRS is not playing around. Here's another bulletin that came out from the IRS just last year. Okay. Last year. Anybody that decides that they've decided that they're not going to be taxpayers anymore, that they've decided that, oh, we're not doing this anymore, and I'm closing down my social security number and taking control of something and whatever else and all this other nonsense, because I've heard a lot of that. Here's what I want to explain to you. In this country, you can't own anything without your straw man, without your citizenship. You can't own nothing without that social. If you get rid of that social security number and you tell the IRS, I'm not paying, I'm not performing anymore, I'm not participating anymore, don't be surprised if you get deported. Don't be surprised. It's happening. Okay? You know, do you think that Biden let all these people into the country for a reason? Of course he did. Because there's another plan to make everybody else hate their citizenship, hate their country. And we need to love this place. We need to embrace this place because this is our home. And we need to learn how to live here because we haven't been taught. Just to be real honest with y'all, we haven't been taught how to live here. So for the last 9 years, that's exactly what I've learned how to do. I've learned exactly how to function in this system and benefit from it. This class that I have coming up, it's going to be on the 13th. It's a 4-hour class. This is going to be a very limited class. I'm only going to have 10 seats in this class available, and I think we have 3 already full. So there's not many seats left, okay? But if you're operating out of trust, if you're operating a business, this is the class for you. If you're not doing any of those things, this class is not for you because you're not going to understand it. If you're not doing this process, if you're not set up and you're not doing this, if you're just over there on the sidelines trying to see if everything looks good, you know what? Just keep on flipping, man. This is not your class. But those of you guys that are invested, that are truly doing this process, that are really out there, you're operating in trust, you've got a home-based business, you've got a business away from your home. Doesn't matter if you're a sole P, doesn't matter. As long as you got an EIN, this is the class for you. I'm going to show you how to take your portfolio and make it produce like it's never produced before. Earlier, we talked about operating out of your front pockets and how that money just goes with no accounting, and you don't even know where it went, man. It goes so fast, especially if you have kids. Ooh, they all need payoff money. I'm telling you, here, shut up, go. You know, I'm saying, you know, especially if you come from a big family like I do. And Natasha, she's got a big family too. So, I mean, I already know. So when we're running and we're doing business out of our front pocket, we're losing money. Our business, our commerce that we're doing is failing. And we're failing. And we're failing because we weren't taught how to do it. This is the class that's going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to master your wealth. I'm going to show you how to run this thing on a budget so that you guys can actually retire. Really. I did. I retired at 45. I'm 53 now. And I absolutely love it. It's brought me so much peace of mind because I'm able to understand where I'm at and where I want to be. The dreams, it stopped a long time ago. We're just going forward now. And what I'm seeing in this movement is that I'm seeing people that are doing a whole lot of guessing. But the problem is that guessing comes with a very heavy price. You could make some very serious mistakes and you could really, really hurt yourself, okay? If you don't learn this process from somebody that actually knows what they're doing, like myself, please go to somebody else that knows what they're doing besides me is what I'm really trying to say. I probably didn't come out right. But what I'm trying to say is if you're going to learn this process, go to somebody that's got the fruits, man. Go to somebody that's done the process. Go to somebody that can say, hey, look, this is what I did. And if they can't do that for you, Dust the dust off your feet and move on. You're dealing with a con artist. As simple as that. There's a lot of people out there that just like to be heard. There's a lot of people that talk, and they deliver nothing. You know, and Kenny Plaster was one of them. You know, that was the guy who would sit there, and he's still. Every now and then I see when his silly little feeds that come over my into my Facebook page, and I see the nonsense, just nonsense. Like Natasha the other day, he was talking about SF forms, GSA SF forms, and he was talking about how there's bid bonds and there's these bonds and there's that bond. Well, you know what? I went and looked up every one of those bonds of what he said, and everything that he said was factually not true. There's no bid and performance bonds done with court cases, but there are insurance policies. A little different. People do insure those, okay? And there's payouts for those insurance policies, and it insures the claim. That's a whole nother, but that's banking. That's banking at the CAFR. And a lot of people don't understand what that is. And a CAFR is, well, I guess we really don't have time. We only have about 8 minutes left here, but I'm going to tell y'all, this class is a really, really powerful class. Now, those of you guys that want to get into this class, here's a perk. If you guys want to get into this class, I have a firm mailing class that's going to be on the 14th. Firm mailing book class. This is a really powerful class. Hold on a second. I have a lot of experience with the firm mailing book. Okay. I got 2 of these and another one that I'm working on. It's about half full already. Okay. A lot of experience with this. This class is completely free. If you guys want to take this class, if you guys want to jump in, I'm sorry, it's completely free if you want to take the tax class. And the reason why is because we're going to be talking about monetizing contracts. And you need to know how to use this firm mail book if you don't. So as a package deal, if you want to jump into the tax equity and discharge class, call my office tomorrow, 210-605-0144. Call my office tomorrow. My office will be open after 10 a.m. Central Time. We'll be open tomorrow. Okay. All the fees benefit the House of Yah Community Outreach. We are a full-service nonprofit. We are open to the public, and we're here to serve them. Yes, I do charge for the classes, but if you need help afterwards, if you need talk time, counseling time, anything like that, just book the time with you, and it's completely free. If you're willing to make that investment in me, I like the time investment in you. And that's really how I do things, and I've been doing this for 9 years. I'm not going to change a thing. This is a formula that works. My students are benefiting from it. I'm sorry, Sean didn't make it on the call tonight, but this is something that we're benefiting from, and my students are benefiting from. We need to understand our economy, okay? If we understand our economy and we understand how it really works, instead of trying to shortcut it, you got a chance. You got a chance at doing something not everybody can do. And I want you guys to have that opportunity. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us tonight. Again, if you guys want to join the class, I have limited seating. Call my office tomorrow, 605-0144. Remember that you're going to get if you want to get the tax equity and discharge class, sign up for the firm mail class as well. That's a free gift. So we'd love to have you in the class. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. You guys are awesome, by the way. Thank you all for your comments, everything. Natasha, what do you have for any of this stuff? What do you think about any of this, all this stuff? I know you've been doing it too, so.
Yeah, well, some of the things, key features is especially like understanding needing the right vehicles, the performance, acting as such, and with your equity. But with this class here, whenever you talk about your employer, about the $1 million, so that makes a lot of sense because right now I'm building a house. So every time I write a check, that means that I get to write a 1099 you know, as far as that, and then I get those tax credits back. So
And you can recoup
anything
it.
yeah, and then recoup it. So essentially, you know, if I made money in my trust, and if I was to owe the IRS, you know, say $10,000, well, if I wrote a check for 15,000 for labor, then that 15, you know, that I'm not for sure if you get a percentile or you get that full 15,000 back, but you
You
know,
get the
it
full
helps.
15. You get the full 15 back. I mean,
So
basically, it literally reduces your taxable by exactly that. So if you wrote out 15 grand and you had to pay 15 grand, then it could essentially eat some of that up, and maybe you'd pay like 3 or 4,000 instead.
exactly. And so, you know, that's exactly, you know, your, like you were talking, your W-2s, you know, exactly what they're doing. So, and this right here is teaching you, you know, to where you can learn how to do this and, you know, eventually recoup your money back and retire early, you know. So, I mean, it's actually really wonderful. And it stops that 9 to 5 grind and, you know, like you said, in the front pocket, you know, because it's like I work and I work and I pay bills and I work and I work and I pay bills, but I don't ever see anything coming back. Well, now I am, you know, so I'm like, hey, this is really cool. And I understand why they wanted to keep it private, because if everybody done it, then who's going to be working?
Exactly. Well, and you know, there was a time where that was, you know, people didn't really work 50-hour, 60-hour work weeks. But there was a time where people worked 25, 30 hours a week, and that's it. And they made a living. They took care of their whole families, and they had like 8, 10 kids running around. There was a time when that happened.
Yeah,
So we can get back to that if we understand the roots and where all this stuff came from and how it starts and how it begins.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Natasha. That's awesome. Well said, too, by the way.
You're welcome. But yeah, I mean, this class is really lovely. I mean, this is the finish line. You know how everything works from, you know, from some of the classes that you know set up your trust and your debts and, you know, and actually you throwing in the firm mailing book class, that's actually really nice gift right there, because that class teaches you a lot. I actually used it today when I was talking to my tax lady, and she's like, really? I was like, yes, ma'am. You know, so it's actually kind of cool whenever you start using all your classes in day-to-day life. So,
And I mean, and here's my current firm mailing book. So those are the first two that you saw. So, but believe me, I've done good gracious. So this one here, I started this one on June the 30th. And that'll give you an idea how much mail has gone through. About 29, 30 pieces since the 30th of June. So a lot. I'm going to show you guys how to make this stuff work for you. And thank you, man. I want to thank Country Boy. He left me some really nice comments here. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. So if you guys want to catch me at my office, I'll be at my office tomorrow at 10 a.m., 210-605-0144. Be blessed, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everyone.